The Mac is back. So today's video, I'm basically been trying to do like different kinds of takes, and I've been trying to do like a funny video, but it's kind of hard when I'm like not even laughing at my own jokes. So instead, I decided that I would talk about something personal. And yes, I did something that it was like all about me stuff, but I wanted to talk to you guys. And you know, the whole I guess logo that I said at the end was stay positive, stay beautiful, stay happy. And I try to live my life at the most positive I can be. At the most positive I can be. Yeah. I have, for the past, let's see, almost 5 years, I have struggled with some issues that I've held onto. So in 4th grade, I basically had the best school year ever. I met new friends, and these friends have been around for a very long time. And they were so amazing. I met my best friend in 4th grade, and he has stuck by me through everything. I mean, me and him have been through hell and back, and yet he is still my best friend. After 4th grade, I was still like happy and everything. Ooh, there's a hair in my camera. And then 5th grade came, and I started to get a lot of anxiety because where I live, it's not just like one elementary school and then you go to the middle school. No, it's like basically 5 elementary schools going into one school, one middle school. So there's going to be kids that you have never even met. I go into the school for the first time, and I am terrified. I am shaking. My back hurts because my muscles are just like tensed up, and my heart is beating out of my chest. I go to my first period, which was music. God was watching out for me at that moment. Music has been a huge part of why I am here today. We go in and we sit on these little risers. They're like different kind of colors. There's like blue, yellow, and red risers. I sat on a blue riser because blue was my favorite color. And the teacher comes in. She has long blonde hair, and she just graciously comes in like so. Well, hello, class. She's just like, how is everyone? Oh my, hi. And it's like she already knows us. She was so awesome. I mean, she was amazing, and she's an opera singer. So she had the most amazing voice. She comes in and she tells everyone to introduce themselves. I don't know anyone in this class. These kids are all brand new. So I'm freaking out because I don't know how to really talk to these kids. I mean, back when I was in kindergarten, it was easy. I mean, it was just kind of like we were all accepting, but I was entering into middle school. Middle school I've heard so many horror stories from so many older friends that I had about middle school and how they weren't accepted. And of course I watched Disney Channel, so I was like, oh my gosh, no one's gonna accept me. So by the way, you're probably hearing a mower. Sorry. And then you're probably gonna be hearing my sister sing opera. Um, she basically introduced me to actually one of my other best friends. She is amazing as well. She's an amazing singer. And we really didn't like become friends until later on in the semester of the first semester, because we were both trying to get singing parts and we were kind of like battling against each other. But she, hands down, is a way better singer than I am. She is amazing. But, so 5th grade was still really traumatic. I had that one friend, and then I had my friends from 4th grade. And I really just started feeling alone because, you know, like I said, I didn't really become friends with her until later in the semester. So I really was feeling alone. I hardly had any classes with my friends, and I was starting to just slowly shut down. I had anxiety attacks every single day walking into that school. My mom told me one night, I was in our chair and I was sitting there crying, and she said, "Michaela, we're gonna get you help." At this time, I really didn't understand what she was talking about when she said help. She wanted to get me counseling. There was a kid in my fourth grade class that took counseling, and he really didn't like it. And so I automatically did not like it. I kept on saying, "I will get better, I will get better, I'll stop crying, I'll stop doing all this stuff, and I'll do it." And she said, "No, we need to do this." Well, we finally went to the meeting. It was one morning. We stayed there for hours, and I mean hours, because we had to do paperwork and I was new there, so they had to do more stuff with me. And then finally we went back. She started talking to me. She's like, "So what seems to be the issue?" And I'm just like, I don't have one. And my mom's like, "Well, and like my mom basically told her. I didn't really ever say anything to her. I was already terrified of people I didn't know. So why the heck would I go to counseling? I don't know. The counseling ended up not helping me. I'm not saying that counseling won't help anyone, because my friend goes to counseling and that has helped her so much. For me personally, it did not help me. At that time. If I went now, I probably would be okay, but I really don't need counseling right now. And I know some of you are like, "Really?" Because in the last video, it seemed like you really need help. But I ended up, my mom ended up taking me to the doctor and basically wanted me to be put on medication. She didn't know what. She was thinking anxiety medication. I ended up being put on antidepressants. I had to take these every night because they were supposed to make me more drowsy. One thing that they didn't really clarify until later on was that it makes you gain an excessive amount of weight. Mixing this in with puberty is like a big no-no, because when you hit puberty, you automatically start to like fill in the gaps, if you know what I mean. So you start to gain a little bit of weight. Mixing the medication that is supposed to make you gain an excessive amount of weight into puberty is like, oh my gosh. 5th grade started out rough, and it was rough. That was probably the roughest year of my life. Well, one of them. The next year was so much better. I gained a whole lot of friends. Me and the girl that I talked about earlier, me and her were besties. We were inseparable. We had every single class the next year together. It was perfect. Then I got a new friend, like in the second semester. She was also like my country friend. I gained a friend then, And then I started hitting a rough patch with the girl because she thought I was going to be best friends with her, and we ended up not being as close as we used to. We're still pretty close now. Like, I still talk to her. I can still go to her for anything. I know that if I have a situation and I need to talk to someone, I know that I can call her up and she will just sit there and listen and give me advice because she is an amazing person. And then this other situation happened. Like I said before, like in 5th grade, that medication that I was taking made me gain a lot of weight. I never really noticed it that much besides like the stretch marks. Like, I didn't notice me gaining a whole lot until these 2 boys came along. One day I was waiting at the bus stop and he and his friend were sitting there right next to me, and they said, "Michaela, guess what you remind us of?" And I said, "What?" And they said, "You remind us of an elephant." And I kind of just laughed it off because, I mean, I thought he was my friend, so I thought he was being funny. So I just laughed it off, and then it just kept on happening. At this point, they started to actually make jags about that, saying that they need to go get their guns because they need to shoot down this elephant. That summer, in between 6th grade and 7th grade, I got on Facebook and I started like taking selfies. So after that all happened, one day I took a picture and I like edited it, and it was, first of all, it was a really bad picture. I am like embarrassed of it. Then I saw these comments that were from those same boys. They kept on saying, you know, "You're such an elephant." One of them said, "Hurry up, get your gun. The elephant's gonna get away." And then they started talking about shooting me down, that we need to take this elephant down. And I just said, "You guys are just stupid." I wasn't like upset. I never cried about it. It's just, I just didn't. 7th grade, I went to a different school. I was now entering a middle school. The school before this was called an intermediate school. So I was going into an actual middle school now. That same boy that called me an elephant was now calling me a ghost because I was so pale. At this time, I was already feeling insecure because of him last year. So I tried to get self-tanners. I looked like a Cheeto Puff. Then, in 8th grade, nothing really happened. 9th grade came around, and I finally got off of my antidepressant medication. So, basically what happened was some situations happened with a relationship that was going on with a friend of mine, and I wanted to be in a relationship with that guy, and there was a lot of going back and forth. I'm not going to talk about that situation out of respect for that person because I respect him, so I'm not going to talk about that. There were some situations that happened where the best friend from 4th grade was now, I was being kind of dragged away from him, and our friendship was being torn apart. And I was very emotional all the time. I was constantly crying, just out of the blue. I don't know if it was because of puberty, it probably was, but I was very emotional all the time. So 9th grade, I know I didn't give a whole lot of details, but 9th grade was a living hell. It really was. Because I was just so emotional all the time. and it was just really dragging me down. Then in 10th grade, I finally got over that whole wanting to be in a relationship, because I met this new person. And I kind of liked him. I wasn't just like, oh my gosh, I have to be in a relationship with him right now. I was not that person. I basically just kind of had like a little crush on him. It didn't ever work out. We saw each other as friends more than as in a relationship, so that's where that's at now. But moving from that, my friend was in a relationship, and it was really bad. Back and forth. We were all fighting. Like, I was fighting with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was fighting with me. I was fighting with her, and it was just a constant going back and forth. At that time, I was feeling like I'm done. I'm done with this whole thing called life. I just want to move on. So I basically was sitting there thinking, I really don't want to be here anymore. And I had those little thoughts in my head in 9th grade. But they weren't as extreme as they were in 10th grade now, because I was seriously thinking, I'm losing my friends now because of this bad situation. And, you know, I've heard people talking about cutting. I didn't really understand the whole point of it. So, you know, being in high school, it's like cutting is, I wouldn't say it's a normal thing. It's just, you hear about it. So I knew what it was. I figured it out, like what happens. And I didn't want people to know that I was thinking about doing it. I go home one night and I start listening to some random music. And I'm just sitting there and like, oh, I just want to see what this is. I just want to know what the whole point is in this. So, and I know you guys are going to be like kind of weirded out about this, but I got like this mathematical compass type thing. And I got like the sharp part and just like started doing that. And I mean, it hurt. And I'm not a pain person. I don't like pain at all. So I'm sitting there like, oh, ow, gosh, what the freak? And I'm like, really like sitting there like, what the heck? And why would you do this? And ended up doing it maybe like a second time, and then I was done. I was like, what the heck is with this? Just be like, hey, I wonder what happens when this happens. Oh, you hurt. That's what happens. But I also started realizing that, you know, my best friend, like I was talking about from 4th grade, he was there by my side all the way. And I owe him a lot. If I didn't have him, I would probably still be in that really dark part in my life. So then that friend that I was talking about and her boyfriend, they ended up not working out, and we became besties again. We are closer than ever. And so everything right now is working out into a good thing. It's not like my life is completely perfect in every single way. I'm learning to be a positive person, you know. But my life is not perfect at all. Never, probably, it will never be perfect. But it is just right for me. And I am forever grateful for my family and my very close friends, because I know who my friends are. I know who will be there for me. And I am forever grateful for that. Know that yes, there is going to be a really bad situation that's going to happen, but it's all going to pass. I mean, it's not going to be like that forever. Honestly, it's not. You know, people are like, whatever you do in high school is going to impact your life forever. It's not. You wanna know why? Because after high school, there are children that go off to college, and most of them don't like to stay in their hometown, so they leave. It's gonna pass. Nothing is going to be a forever. And you know, sometimes it's tough to tell someone everything's gonna be okay, because everything's not sometimes gonna be okay. It's not always gonna be okay. There are gonna be the bumps in the roads, but you know what? You still just gotta get over it. Yeah, it's just something that you hit along the road. And to know, to everyone, to know that you are loved and that you are forever going to be loved. You may not think that right now, but you are. There are plenty of people that are in love with you, as in like they want to help you, they care about you. They care. Don't end your life because there is a struggle. Keep on pushing. If someone tells you that you should just end it now, prove them wrong. Prove to them that you can do this. This little thing that we call life, prove them wrong. I'm constantly proving people wrong. And I'm here, aren't I? So, we all have a reason why we're here. I am here because I was probably meant to write the book that I am writing, to tell you about my story, to maybe I'm saving a life. I don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm changing someone's life by telling my story. I don't know that, but I am hopeful. I am hopeful that someone out there is listening and that they know that it's going to be okay. It is going to be A-okay. So, to everyone out there, I love you guys. You guys are amazing, and that we're gonna get through this. We're all gonna get through this. I'm gonna be there. You're gonna be there. We're all gonna be there. Because we are gonna prove to anyone that stops us that we can do this. So I've been on Pandora. I've been waiting for this song to come on, and it's been a long wait. So, and it's called Fight Song. And I know I mentioned this on Snapchat, but it is absolutely an amazing song. So,